We are live. Live.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is the part 4 of the Mdda Straight Talk series. Now, this is for the first time we are doing it on a Zoom technology together with the Destina One studio because of the MCO, the COVID MCO here in Malaysia. And not to forget, we have also the Share and Win, where we have 3 participants who share the most into Facebook or YouTube Live. You will win 100 ringgit. So please help us to share. The more you share in YouTube, the better it is, of either in YouTube or Facebook, okay? Now, for the last 3 episodes of our Direct Selling Straight Talk series, you have covered the general area of what is network marketing. Then we move on to the advantages and disadvantages of the industry. And we move on to series number 3, which we are talking about the education and training, the importance about the education and training. I believe what we have covered so far are very relevant points that affect the image and practice of the industry. Now, today, we'll be covering the code of ethics. required to have a healthy and build a healthy business, both for the distributors as well as for the companies, okay, and the business owners. Now, I hope that by following our program so far, especially after knowing more about the code of ethics and the do's and the don'ts, of the industry, you'll be more cautious between what is right or what is correct and what is wrong, ladies and gentlemen. Now, today sharing with us in our program so far, and with their knowledge and discipline about the important aspects of this important subject, we have three professionals within their own right and scope of practice. Now, let me first introduce you to Mr. Noel Alfred Paul, sorry, my apologies, legal advisor of Mdda, and has been in the industry for many, many long years. Welcome, Paul.
Good afternoon, Mr. Winston.
Yeah, now, besides Paul, we have a special guest invited, which is formerly the chairman and the Business Ethics Institute of Malaysia, and currently is the member of the Government Accreditation Board of Certified Integrity Officers, which is Dr. Zainal Abidin bin Abdul Majid, and also presently the Mdda Ethics Arbitrator. Welcome, Dr. Zainal. We're very happy to have you here today.
Thank you very much.
And of course, not to forget, we have a very familiar face who is our special guest again today, Tuan Zulkifli Yaakob, who is a Principal Assistant Director of the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, MDTCA. And welcome again, Tuan Zul.
Thank you, Winston. Thank you, Mdda, for inviting me.
As usual, I'm sure we have a lot of exciting information from you, right from the government, you see. And by the way, I'm your host, Winston Wong. Now, I think I will start the ball rolling with Paul, who has been a long time in the industry, to share with us some of his experience. Now, Paul, what are the areas that you have seen so far within the industry that have changed in terms of the code of ethics? And simply put, the changes in the mindset and the discipline that's being followed and affecting the industry.
Yeah, thank you, Winston. Now, if we were to actually look at the code itself, okay, the code is part and parcel, okay, the set of rules and guidelines which actually direct selling companies need to follow. Now, if we to look at it, the ministry itself has actually launched its code many years ago, followed by the other two associations. Now, the code actually does not only deal with the Direct Sales Act, but it also comprises of the Consumer Protection Act, the Personal Data Protection Act, and also the law of contract. So if you actually look at it, it covers the conduct of the business in relation to the normal provisions set by the respective, ministries and enforced by them. Over the years, we have found that many companies have actually been more of self-regulating themselves to ensure that they conform and comply to the code. It is very clear that all direct selling companies, prior to applying for the direct sales license, are required to have in place their own code of conduct, their own membership terms and conditions. Now, when they submit their application to the Ministry of Domestic Trade, the ministry makes it a point to have all this in place before issuing the license. Now, if you to look at this, this is pertinent to ensure that the company actually adheres to all the do's and don'ts of the industry. If you look at the provisions of the code under Mdda, section 2.3 talks about self-regulation. So this is in line with what the ministry wants to ensure that all companies go on a self-regulatory basis. This is very important. Over the years, we've seen many companies who have really followed the code, and this has minimized the number of complaints brought forward to the Ministry of Domestic Trade for resolution.
Well said. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a pure lawyer speaking over there, all right? Now, yeah. Now, taking from the sharing of Paul, I always believe that discipline is part and parcel of the success of a business. And one have to be proactive of the happenings around him or her in terms of compliance and etc. Now, for the general public and the distributors or practitioners of the industry, you would like to know, in case you have any issues or complaints about any transactions or being misled or whatsoever, you are always welcome to bring your case to MDDA, as it is if it is justified, we will bring the case to up for arbitration or for further action, together with the government, or we have our specialist here, Dr. Zainal here, who is our arbitrator, MDDA ethics arbitrator, you see. Now, Dr. Zainal, can you share your experience as how such a complaint or issue will be handled when it is brought to MDDA for litigation? For instance, if it is a genuine and it is a legitimate, because sometimes we don't want to act on hearsay, if you know what I mean, yeah? So can you share with us a little bit deeper, and what are the process?
Thank you, Vincent. I must declare from the onset that I'm not a business associate with MDDA or to any of its companies or members. I'm absolutely independent as the ethics arbitrator, but I'm happy to be able to serve the complainants. Since my appointment 4 years ago and the publication and the launch of the MDDA Code of Ethics, this is the one. You could see this is in English, and this is in Bahasa Melayu, yeah. So it covers dual language. Since the launch of the Code of Ethics, there wasn't any opportunity for the ethics arbitrator to intervene. Congratulations to MDDA for this laudable record. The organization, MDDA, and its members have conducted their operations with a record of good practice of business ethics. If at all there were complaints, the matter would have been resolved amicably and satisfactorily by the parties concerned before they reach my level. Now, going to the complaints procedure, in designing the MDDA's Code of Ethics, the emphasis has been on self-regulation, which has significant advantages in its own right. This principle has been driven home effectively at MDDA. Nonetheless, if a complaint surfaces, the code provides a comprehensive procedure flow up to 4 levels to ensure that the parties involved are eventually satisfied with the outcomes. The procedure flow starts with the complainant filling up a designated form where MDDA's executive office would resolve. If it's not resolved, the matter would be referred to the ethics committee to deliberate. However, if the matter is not resolved at the ethics committee, then the ethics arbitrator is called upon to view the matter. In the remote situation, if there is a stalemate, the ethics arbitrator may advise the president and exco of MDDA to take the matter up with the Ministry of Domestic Trade. Members would surely prefer to resolve their difference within the umbrella of MDDA. So that's how the flow is. And it also involves a deposit of 5 ringgit for the consumer and 500 ringgit for the corporate entity to lodge the complaint.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Zainal.
Welcome.
5 ringgit for the consumer, I'm sure it is very, very affordable. And 500 ringgit from the corporate side, I'm sure it justifies, because this 5 ringgit and 5 ringgit, I'm sure it is just to make sure that it is a legitimate complaint and not somebody who just for the sake of complaining, they complain. I'm sure there's quite a few of it in the market today. Somebody became emotional and just lodged a complaint on something, you see. And Tuan Zul, I don't know if you have anything to add on the government side on what on this part?
Okay, Winston, thank you. Okay, we see that this code of ethic is one of the pillars that make the direct selling industry in Malaysia quite unique, you see, because it's moving, the aim is to go on a self-regulations perspective in the long term. So by having code of ethic, it gives what you call a benchmark in terms of the level of high standard professionalism among the practitioners of the direct selling in Malaysia. That is something that we need to enforce and strengthen for future generations of networkers, you see, just to show that it's a gentleman's game. Yeah. So by having this code of ethic is something that we should be proud of, to say that it's moving towards self-regulation.
All right. Now, Tuan Zul, I understand the ministry or the government per se has always been very meticulous, in license applications of companies. All these must be well met and in good state, and all for the sake of protecting the consumers of the in public in general. All right. Now the question is there any SOP that the ministry or your good office follow pertaining to the code of ethics in processing these applications? Is there any some documents or anything like that they need to fill, or like prices and the terms and conditions and things like this,
Okay, for any application for the direct selling license, there is what you call, we really set out what you call a standard checklist for companies to it comes to the new application. So one of the step is to make sure that you have what you call in-house terms and condition, or your own code of ethics, you see, because we stand guided by the code of ethics of each company that said how to practice the business in terms of, like I mentioned earlier, is setting a benchmark in terms of professionalism among the members, you see. So we do look at the detailed part of the code of ethics or even the terms of condition of the company to make sure that the company is giving the proper management skills, the proper training, and the proper know-how of how such practitioners should practice in delivering its businesses.
Yeah, okay. Now, to my mind, after being so long in the industry myself, I think the code of ethics is very important, and each individual company would have also their own rules and regulations and the code of ethics, especially nowadays pertaining to online shopping, online selling, how they put products in the marketplace and what prices they should be doing, line pinching and enticing members to join other companies. And I believe that all these would have been in the rules and regulations of individual companies. But of course, the MDDA Code of Ethics, so to speak, would be a guideline per se, which a lot of companies can depend on as well. So for those of you who are business owners or even practitioners of this industry, please do study the Code of Ethics of MDDA so that you are educated, or you are well informed of what are the do's and don'ts of in particular of this, you see. So now, in a moment, I would like to, whilst we're on this very, very important subject, all right, the Code of Ethics was launched by MDDA, and we have a video launching it. I believe it is 2017, which is about now it's 2021 already, beginning, 3 over years back. And now let's take a look at this video, and I hope our technical support is ready to show you the video and go back in time when the Code of Ethics was being launched together with the minister from MDTCA. Now, we will be back after this. Looks like we have a little bit of a technical thing, But anyway, I mean, while we are talking and the video may come in, you see, ladies and gentlemen, we are coming from a studio from Destiny One. We are not professionals like the BBC or CNN, you know. Especially today, we are doing via a Zoom, and there are a lot of technical challenges. And just now, can you imagine our internet kaput, and we'll have to come back again, you know? So I hope that you appreciate what we are doing today from MDDA, all right? And I think looking at it, our technical support is being, you know, working towards showing you the video, which is a very interesting video, as a matter of fact, and to give you the confidence, because that is something that you may have missed. All right, it was attended by a lot of dignitaries, including PDRM and including Bank Negara, SSM. You know, the support was all there because the Code of Ethics event. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And from the video, you can see our special invited guest, Tuan Zul, has been, has been an expert in this industry. You know, you see his face everywhere. You know, he's doing his talks and things like this. He's definitely a a subject matter expert from the Ministry of Domestic Trade, I must say, after being so long within the industry, we know Tuan Zhu well anyway, Now, coming back to you again, Paul, I hope that all of us enjoy the video. It goes back to 17, 16th of May, like what Dr. Zainal said, people are more aware of it. And it just show the commitment of MDDA towards the industry to make sure that it sets an impetus, to move then to a better level of professionalism of this within this industry itself. Now, Paul, in your opinion, how do you think is the best way in drumming this code of ethics into the mindset of the practitioners of the industry? Will education and training be sufficient, or will it be a great help?
Yes, Winston, I totally agree with you. Now, it needs to start from the top management itself. The top managements, the CEOs, the directors, they must place much emphasis on the code itself. Now, when you have the top leaders in the management actually complying and ensuring that the code is adhered to, you will see it trickle down, that other management staff also do the same. Now, with the proper guidance, with the proper training, now you will see the concerted effort by the top management along with the members who will now adhere to the code. Now, MDDA over the past and also working closely with the ministry has actually formulated programs in the past for top leaders to participate. Now, you do have functions which, are organized by MDDA, with regard to compliance, with regard to workshops and seminars. Now, I believe strongly that the aspect of self-regulation must be seen to take place with the top management. Now, with the top management's participation, it will surely trickle down. I also feel that it could be time also that the ministry may have to impose certain requirements for the CEOs to adhere to, as part and parcel of their renewal process for their license. They need to participate in seminars, workshops. So this will ensure that it leads towards self-regulation.
Yeah, fully agreed. As a matter of fact, Paul, thank you very much for that. And I really would advocate that top management of companies, even the business owners, to go through some a formal training, maybe 1 or 2 days, to understand the code of ethics within the industry and together with the leaders as well. Because otherwise, within the talk by companies or by leaders, it is always more or less motivation, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, you should earn more money, But I think code of ethics has been a very neglected subject, you see. And it's sad to say that it is a very important subject that it has been always been neglected. Dr. Zainal, do you have anything to add towards that?
It is, the training and the involvement of all levels of leaders in the organization is actually essential. And you just imagine if the chairman of the board himself or herself takes on the responsibility to conduct an ethics training for a select group of staff representing the several departments, it would create a wave of an impact on the organization. And then successively, the other leaders, the CEO takes over for his own staff, and then the other heads of departments takes over for his own staff, and it will trickle down, like Paul said, and you will have a dramatic impact, positive impact on the staff all around.
Yeah, fully agreed. And I believe that it will be like a domino effect, for the good of the industry. And then, it triggers down to the practitioners, to those who are building this industry, to know exactly, what they are supposed to do and what they can't do and things like this. And they don't oversell or overclaim and things like this. Yeah. And Tuan Zhu, do you have anything to add on the government point of view?
Winston, as I mentioned earlier, the code of ethics is a form of going into self-regulation, you see. is the basis of how we want to regulate the industry, by the industry, for the industry. So by having what you call a dedicated code of ethics, which is what I like to applaud Mdda for having to launch its code of ethics and whatnot, it has shown that that Mdda has taken steps necessary to make sure that its members adhere to these standards. And the government sees this as a way of moving towards self-regulation.
And I always believe in that, and I always promote this and always have this quote, your first step to transformation is education, and I deeply advocate that, you see. And I also, being the chairman of the subcommittee of the new members in MTDA, I visited a lot of members, and I always emphasize in this code of ethics, I make sure that they follow, and to comply what the AJL, Akta Jualan Langsung, what they need to do and things like this, you see, because it all trickles down like what Dr. Zainal and Paul say, you see. And from my experience, the behaviors of the leaders or the so-called uplines of the distributors play a very important part in influencing their team on the subject of the discipline of code of ethics. And I think we cannot neglect that. And for those following this program, please always be mindful of the do's and the don'ts, that is crucial for your success in building a healthy, successful business. And, again, I would like to say there are rules for success and reasons for failure. Now, I would like to pause a minute because we have some questions being raised from our viewers. Now, the first question I would like to bring in is from Wendy Leong of Petaling Jaya. The question goes, for anyone who has a plan to open a new direct sales company, can we 100% adopt the MDDA or MDTCA code of ethics to be used by our staff or distributors before we establish to have our own company code of ethics? Meaning that, can they use back the MDDA code of ethics? Paul, maybe you would like to answer that first.
Yes, Mr. Winston, if you actually look at it, now the ministry has in fact set in place the code of ethics for others to look at. They can actually emulate from it. Now, whether both associations, have their code in place to follow or not, it needs to be customized based on the background of the company itself. Each company have their own practices. But however, you must understand that the spirit of the act itself is towards ethical conduct of business. It's all about taking care of consumers, ensuring the rights of the distributors are safeguarded by the company. So at the end of the day, yes, you can actually take it as a point of reference. And you can actually contact MDDA, and MDDA definitely will be most happy to assist any company.
Yeah, okay, well said. Thank you for that, Paul. Now, Dr. Zainal, being a professional, having been spearheading in many platforms or organizations on the subject matter of ethics and arbitration, what do you think are the gaps that you see within the direct selling fraternity, or the lacks within the industry? Do you see any lacks, or you think that it is good enough in your personal opinion?
Thank you, Vincent. There are ethical issues, aren't they? And ethical issues within the direct selling industry exist. No one can deny that. Just like any other industry, it prevails at all levels of the operations. And for this reason, a code of ethics must be essentially regarded as a benchmark of employees' behavior. Paul mentioned about a culture. It's important to establish an ethical culture within the company. First of all, you need to create a code of conduct, a set of rules, and of course, moving on to code of ethics, because it would include all the regulations and in the best interest of the company. Building a culture of integrity must come from the top down. So that's so essential. Top has got to drive it.
Yeah.
And the whole company must be able to talk about the importance of ethics. And management must keep employees adequately informed about issues that impact them. And then there's the other point is management must uphold promises and commitments to employee and the stakeholders.
Yeah.
What about rewards?
Yeah.
We must acknowledge and reward ethical conduct.
Yeah.
And the other one is we must hold accountable those who violate standards, especially the leaders. They cannot escape. This will set a good example, and it will be a culture of trust and fairness within the organization.
Yeah. And sorry.
And you know that KPMG, together with the Economic Intelligence Unit, some years ago, did a survey on the value of corporations. And they came out with the conclusion that institutional investors are prepared to pay more for companies with excellent corporate governing practices. So that is already a strong indicator.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Zainal. Yeah, especially the governance, and things like this, you see, and quoting what our friend Warren Buffett, we call him friend, but of course he's 1,000 miles away. I mean, with due respect to him, with all the experiences he had when he built up an business empire, became a billionaire, he said that if without integrity of a person, the rest of it, you don't even need to look at it, if you want to deal with anybody. So integrity is a very, very important function aspect of dealing in any business, you see. Now, you see, as far as the Code of Ethics is concerned, we have a committee, or the Code of Ethics Committee, and things like this. Now, to our panel here, you may know or you may have heard that Mdda Direct Selling Entrepreneurship Program. We have an entrepreneurship program, which is an educational and training program, whereby Code of Ethics is part of the module being taught. And Mdda is trying its best to get an officer from MDTCA as a trainer as well to participate. And when and the date doesn't suits well for the MDTCA officer, yours truly here. Normally, I would be the trainer in on this subject. Now, do you think that is it enough for Mdda to do it, or you think there is more than we need to do? Like, for instance, some institution and things like take up this subject and put them into one of the business module in terms of business ethics, in school, for instance. Paul, would you like to say something about this?
Yes, Mr. Winston, if you actually look at it now, if you have an organization who's going to actually play a more effective role, why not, for the betterment of the industry, where a concerted effort could be taken up by this organization along with the association, and work closely with the Ministry of Domestic Trade, in particular the Domestic Trade Unit and also the Enforcement Division. Now, with lesser complaints, this will definitely be an impetus for direct selling companies to actually, be recognized not only in Malaysia but worldwide, with a good track record. And definitely, I'm sure the Ministry of Domestic Trade will be, all in favor to give all the support they can, especially with Tuan Zul has been giving us all the support over the years.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Paul. Now, Tuan Zul, we heard about this the other day in our meeting with MDTCA, and we are talking about the Institute Kemahiran, from the government, one of the government agency. Do you think that the Institute Kemahiran will be able to participate in any way on this subject matter, in the Code of Ethics or entrepreneurship per se, but in particular the Code of Ethics?
Okay, I think we can highlight the matter to the relevant agency, you see. But we have to bear in mind that when you talk about kemahiran, there are few levels of kemahiran. When you talk about code of ethics, we might have to consider it's not the typical kemahiran that it's been given to the whatever the target group, you see. Maybe what we can do is that I know that now that MDD has its own academy, whatnot.
Yeah.
That has this entrepreneurial skills, whatnot. Maybe that will be the best. It's best to practice it first before we highlight it to agencies to show. We need to show success rate, track records, that to show that how the industry is making use of this what you call this lessons, so that it beef up the industry so that it can be counted back to the normal medium of education, you see. In terms of governance, whatnot, we have now that we have corporate governance as a major subject in universities, whatnot. Maybe yes, it can be an add-on, especially if we have the direct selling as part as a syllabus, you see. Because like I mentioned earlier, that the code of ethics is one of the pillars for the industry. So it's custom-made to the industry, for the industry.
Yeah. Thank you, Tuan Zul, because when you talk about the MDDA Academy, as a matter of fact, I'm the director of the MDDA Academy, and I was basically instrumental in setting up the direct selling entrepreneurship program, because being so long into this industry, I felt that education is lacking, you know, and the kind of education which is lacking in this industry are the professional part education, a little bit of formal education, where code of ethics is part of it. Besides that, it is financial management, it is business law. Of course, you know, Paul, maybe you would like to participate in some ways when we talk about business law to the practitioners of this industry, what they can do, what they can't do. And of course, in terms of financial aspect of it, cash flow and things like this, is done by an accountant and auditor from a CPA, a certified public accountant who is doing that, you see. And we have a host of other professional trainers, you know, we do NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and things like this, you see. So for the industry, and of course, these special trainers, like yours truly, I'm doing it almost for free, you know what I mean, for the betterment of the industry. So, I mean, you know, all these are being part and parcel to bring up the level of professionalism for this industry, which all of us sitting here together, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are tuning in, we are very, very passionate to make sure that this industry will not be so misunderstood. People will know that this is a great industry, and this is an industry that works, and it helps people to change their lives. But most important, you have to do it properly. There are no shortcuts, and it is not easy, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you may have heard people will say, come and do it because it's quite easy. No, it's not easy. It is simple. They misconstrue it as easy. You see, you have to work hard, you have to follow the process, you have to educate yourself, you have to learn and follow the program, upgrade your skills, etc., before you can you know, be very, very successful as an entrepreneur in the industry, you see. And once you get into it, ladies, you will fall in love with it, just like myself, you know. I'm in a very corporate person, but after I get involved, I say that, wow, this industry is really something different from what I have been seeing so far. Now, again, I mean, ladies and gentlemen, with our panel of speakers here, we are running to the last 10 minutes or so of our time, even though we started late, and my sincere apologies to those of you who are tuning in because of this late, because of the technical thing, you know, internet problems and things like this. We are going to, we have possibly another 10 minutes or so. We are going to, you know, eat into your time a little bit. Please be patient with us. I'm sure it is very, very valuable for you. Now, we have come to almost, and I would like to the end of the program, but I would like to say just a few words that Dr. Zainal, do you have anything to add in terms of as an arbitrator in your profession? What is something of issue or not so important, or why is it so neglected? Can you share with your wisdom that why code of ethics has always been neglected? I'm sure you feel the frustration yourself, Dr. Zainal, that such an important subject has been neglected, and in the course of building a healthy and progressive business, and even the economy per se.
Thank you, Vincent. Just to ask the question, would anyone likes to work for an unethical company?
No, of course. Yeah.
It is natural. Most people feel better working for an ethical organization. And this is where they need to know the importance of the code. When there's a code with the company practicing code of ethics, then there is trust that you can place on that organization. Credibility rests not only in technical competency of the company, but also on public trust. And they must know that ethics is good business. It's a business by itself. Several studies have shown that over the long run, ethical business do better than unethical business.
Yeah.
And companies exist to perform an important long-term mission in the public interest. And like I mentioned just now, institutional investors, they're prepared to pay more for companies with good corporate governance. So the self-regulation, see, if you have a code of ethics and it's a practicing code of ethics, a practical one where it is being reviewed from time to time and is complied by the staff and management, there's nothing to worry about. You will perform very well. And take lessons from most multinational companies. They have done very well in this field, and there's much that we can learn. They have been through it as well. They've started from scratch. They have also, being unethical in certain ways, but they learned their lessons. Now they have corrected them, and they are in good order most of the time. Most of them. So likewise, if the self-regulation comes in a very strong place, if a company values the behavior, the fairness, and with the management giving that due recognition, then you find that the code. The company will not be in any trouble.
Yeah. I always remember in my corporate days, we have an internal audit department, which is also like the policeman, Besides the external auditor, we have an internal audit department, internal auditor, where they go around and make sure that its compliance are being followed. And I believe that is also part and parcel of the code, and the compliance need to be followed, you see, and need to be adhered to, you see, so that we don't go astray in our reports, in the way we conduct our business, what are we marketing, and what we sell, do we oversell, and things like this in terms of pricing, etc., you see. So that is also part and parcel of it, besides those, make sure that everything is in line and in tune, you see. Now, Paul, looking at you, I think do you have anything to add in terms of this in the corporate governance and things like this?
Winston, it all boils down to the sincerity of the company itself. Just like what Dr. Zainal has mentioned. When you have a company with integrity and they are actually having set in place their own standard operating procedures, this will make sure that all those who are involved in that industry, in that company, can grow in a very progressive, healthy manner. Now, as what like you, Tuan Zol, the ministry, and other officers who have been all trying to promote the self-regulation values. So does MDDA here. We will definitely advise any company, who comes to us, we'll advise them if they need, okay, on the aspect of compliance. If they're not sure about the provisions of the Direct Sales Act, we are here to help them out. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Vincent.
Thank you, Paul. Now, in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are tuning in, now, as far as code of ethics is concerned, we will really emphasize from the start that the founders, owners of companies, or even the top management have to go through this process, understand the code of ethics within the industry itself, to formulate a governance within your own company structure. And like what Dr. Zainal correctly said, who would like to join a company which has no integrity, or you know, who is in question, who has no ethics, you know what I mean? Yeah, that speaks very, very loudly, you see. And so from the management and the staff, of course, then the leaders come in working side by side, you know, within the direct selling industry per se. Let's speak about this industry, you know, not talking about the traditional business, which is more or less the same. You see, integrity and code of ethics have to be done in every industry, or the ecosystem, or every sector of the economy, so to speak, you see. So the leaders itself, you know, it's not talking about just money. You have to talk about the code of ethics as well. Don't oversell, you know, don't tell people the wrong things. And then the practitioners filters down to make sure that there is a compliance and there's falling back into the provisions of the code of ethics. Now, I hope that today, for those of you who are tuning in, you understand that what we are driving at is the importance of the code of ethics, because quality and code of ethics, integrity will go very, very far. You see, look in the long term, because there are no shortcuts. And if you try to shortcut it, anything, you know, you don't do things the right way, you don't comply, I think things will come back to you, and it will boomerang back to you sooner or later. All right. Now, again, like I said, really we are running out of time, because now is 4 o'clock. You know, as promised, we want to do this program in a 1 hour program. Now, I'm sure that so far you would have, if you have followed our series 1, 2, and 3, and now series 4, you will know that we are not soliciting you to join any company. We are not soliciting you to sell any products. We are very unbiased, like what Dr. Zainal qualified himself. He's not representing any company nor anything. He's a arbitrator by itself, you know. So by himself. So sorry. So the whole thing is that this Straight Talk series came upon by the EXCO Executive Committee of Mdda, you know. So I felt that it is something very, very well that we are going to do. And of course, I would like to thank our panelists today. They are especially important, you know. I will use the word important, you know. Very, 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 very hard to get them. You know, it's not easy to get a lawyer. He charged by the second, you know, if not by the minute, you know, Paul. And Tuan Zulkifli, of course, and Dr. Zainal, thank you very much for your time, spending your valuable time with us today and sharing your wisdom with us. You know, we look forward to working together. And of course, there will be a lot of events that Mdda will be participating, Tuan Zul. Yeah, so that we will be seeing all of you again. And of course, to all of you who are with the program with us today, I wish to thank you so much and look forward to seeing you again in our next series, number 5, which is again a very important and very interesting aspect, dealing with the interesting subject of illegal pyramid schemes, Ponzi schemes, illegal pyramid schemes, or the so-called money games, which rock the market. Numerous headlines in the local newspapers, you know, was published. And I'm sure you would like to listen. We have a host of panelists again to share with you their wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. We have special invited guests. We have head of the commercial crime from PDRM who will be joining us on the 25th of February. We have the enforcement from KPDNHAP, from the Ministry of Domestic Trade, to share with us their wisdom about the compliance and enforcement of the Direct Sales Act, and of course other industry captains of the industry, so to speak. to share with us what exactly is going on in the illegal pyramid schemes and why is it different from the legitimate MLM or direct selling business. Why are they different? I'm sure you would like to know that. Please don't mix together the illegal Ponzi schemes or the illegal pyramid schemes with direct selling. It is a totally different ball game. Now, you can see on the screen now, ladies and gentlemen, share and win. Please share with as many people as possible, to your friends. I'm sure you will do them good. Do yourself a favor, do your network a favor, do the practitioners a favor, or even do your boss a favor by sharing with them this video. Not only this, but the 3 series that has been gone, but it is still available in YouTube or Facebook. All right. Now, for our Chinese friends, I would like to take this opportunity because next week is our Chinese New Year. Even though it's MCO, we are not going nowhere. All right, but stay home and take care of yourself. I would like to wish all of you a very healthy Chinese New Year, and of course, happy is happy, but being healthy is very important. Yeah, it's the new norm. I received a group chat that today all the Chinese New Year reunion will be using on laptops. They put on the table and they say hi to everybody in the Zoom message, which is very interesting. Okay, now. Without much ado, once again, thank you very much to our panelists, okay, for being here today. Yep. Next week, the Chinese New Year will be the New Year of the Ox. Yep. And I would like to wish all our Chinese friends 恭喜发财 or 万事如意 or 身体健康. All right. And with that, I see you again on the 3rd at 3 p.m., 25th of February on time. Now, I hope this time we don't have any technical hitch. And again, thank you very much to Destiny One for having shared this with every one of us today. All right. Thank you. I'll see you again. And again, panelists, thank you. And for those of you who are tuning in, without you, it wouldn't have this program. Thank you again so much. I'll see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Now it's time to build a business from home.
We are a nation at war with invisible forces.
News concerns over the coronavirus outbreak, and once again, they are affecting the stock market.
The situation we are now facing is unprecedented in history.
We have a hope that is actually looking into the vaccine.
Start with breaking news. Wall Street is about to close any minute now. The Dow collapsing.
Just stay at home.
Those special times when countries are in lockdown, air travel is banned and even borders are closed, many people are looking for possibilities to generate an income from home. Does a home business really exist? Can you make a living with a laptop and a phone? And would it be worth it during a crisis like now? Will it still work when the situation is over? Yes, it will. Because it has for more than 100 years. This $200 billion industry is called network marketing.
Beautiful about network marketing is you get all the benefits of being an owner without all the headaches and without the same level of risk. I'm a big fan of network marketing, always have been, and you continue to grow your skill set.
So I'm a tremendous believer in network marketing, and I'm a great believer in entrepreneurs.
The reason Kim and I endorse network marketing is because unemployment keeps going through the roof, wages keep coming down. That's why we endorse it.
They are possibilities. They are opportunities. Are you prepared? What is your plan B?